Welcome everyone to the afternoon session for day 16 of the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity. It's Wednesday, July 26, 2017. And it appears we'll carry on with a similar vein of what we were discussing in the morning session. I think we'll get some help from Caroline perhaps to guide us through this part of our afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome everybody. Whatever time you're in, I hope you have your good supply of coffee and tea. And secondly, I hope you have passed your mirror to confirm you're so plentiful of giving. There were two people who wanted to come forward. Rick, maybe it's time, if they are online already, to let them and allow them to come and share their share of knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just wondering who that was. Is it?
Please raise your hands from this morning, please, so Rick can find you.
Right, I don't think they're on the list.
And topics.
Okay, if you're already a panelist, then you can open your microphone. But if you're an attendee, you can put up your hand and I'll promote you to a panelist where you can speak. There's we're getting quite a bit of microphone noise, Caroline.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
sorry.
I might have to mute you from time to time, but you can unmute. Okay, we have Paul. Paul is there
Good morning.
Something you'd like to say? Oh,
it's Paul's other voice.
Okay, your voice is very high, Paul.
Okay, this is Lynn, and I want to share something that's a little out of the ordinary. It is a use of plasma energy. Mr. Keshe has talked quite a bit about the fact that this America land that we're in is a major export of warmongering and weaponry. But there's another thing that is not discussed here. And I will go ahead and read the email or the text I got yesterday morning. It came from a friend's wife, and she said, "I would like to thank you for sending my husband a letter. He was so happy not to be forgotten. Our friend is very sick and needs prayers to find strength to get out of the beast of the belly. His blood pressure is out of control. He has something going on with his heart. He stated just going to the shower and walking back to bed, his chest is hurting and he is out of breath, beating so fast and on fire. I don't know I don't know how their system works, but a doctor is on schedule on Wednesday and my husband is on the sheet to be seen. If the doctor feels he needs further medical attention, I'm not sure if the court will allow my husband to leave to receive treatment. Please say a prayer for our family in this confusing time. How can God allow people of this world to be so cruel and yet sleep in peace at night?" Now, what I'll explain to you is the other major export in America is bonds that are written on prisoners and bonds that are written on court cases and traded all over the world as mortgage-backed securities. They go into people's 401ks, pension plans, insurance company, hedge funds. They're infecting all kinds of investments all over the world. And so what this is referring to is this man has a case, he and his wife have a case in federal court. He's been very effective over the years in holding his stance. Well, they arrested him on a county level and said, "We think you're a flight risk." And they locked him up in the county jail, and they have not allowed him to bond out. They won't even allow a bond. The issue that they locked him up on is no registration on his car. Now, he's been there for several weeks, and he has a court hearing coming up if he can make it health-wise. There, and I will describe this county in Virginia. It is a small population, small county. They have 2 fast food restaurants, they have 1 Walmart, and they have 4 or 5 private prisons. That is what the income of that county is. So you can feel pretty helpless in these situations because they will not let anyone visit him. They will not let his wife visit him. They will only let her talk by telephone. So what I did, I sent a letter in, but when I wrote the letter, I soaked, you can only write it on white paper, by the way. So I soaked the paper with plasma water because they do have a plasma energy station at home. And I let it dry. I wrote the letter. And of course, it looked a little strange when it went in, but I don't care about that. And so I had to be circumspect about and just let him figure out why the paper looked that way. He's a bright man. He'll figure that out. What I figured we would do, because here we all are sitting out here saying, well, we can't even help him bond out of prison. And he's being held there because of the issues that have been raised in the federal court. And this is what happens often in America is if you have a case that there's a chance that you have a winning argument, they will use these kind of tactics. I know that some of you from America on this call think you live in the land of the free. I'm glad you think that. So here's what I wrote, because there are several people who know him that also have our energy stations. And this is all about intention. And this is about using our imagination and using our souls. So I said, okay, all of you with energy stations, there is more than energy on the spot. I sent him a letter on paper I had soaked in station water. It had to be white paper and it was cotton bond. When the paper dried, I wrote the letter hoping he would get the drift that he has everything on the paper that is in his energy station at home. I think he gets that part from talking to Susan, his wife. Here's what we can all do on an energetic level. Humor me. I've already done this before with a family member in ICU in New Mexico and with relatives with energy stations in New Mexico, Arizona, and mine in Montana. We did this the day the doctor said it was 50-50 that this relative would survive. Things started changing for him slowly, and now he is home recovering and hoping to gain back some of the 40 pounds he lost. He had this is an aside, he had pancreatitis, and so what I said is, I want you to get a picture. I want you to take some water from your energy station, and I want you to put CO2, write it on 1 jar and add station water and add filter or distilled water to it. I want you to write ZNO for zinc and do the same thing. I want you to write CH3 and do the same thing. And then I want you to set that water around him and to put your intentions several times a day for his recovery. Now, when I continue on with my email with these people, I want you to set up 3 jars. Write on jar 1, CH3, jar 2, CO2, and jar 3, ZNO. Put 1/3 to 1/2 of cup of your station water in each jar and then fill with distilled or filtered water. Your intention is now on each jar for the energy that it contains. And think of this as reverse engineering. It will be charged after an hour or so. Then as a surrogate for R, the man in prison, I am asking each of you to drink 1/3 of the cup of charged CO2, followed by 1/3 cup of CH3, followed by 2/3 cup of ZNO, and do this 3 times a day. You pick the times. And I said that because everybody's in different time zones. I want your intention to be for the health and well-being of R emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, as well as for his family. Paul and I will do this also. I just, and then I said, one more thing, those of you who have been in lockup know how much letters are appreciated. Please do what I did and soak a piece of white water in the waters you are drinking on behalf of R. Let the paper dry and write him a letter. One last thing, put his picture by the jars of water with your written intention. You can find his picture on the jail site. Thanks, Lynn. Now, I did have feedback, and so far there are, his wife is doing this. Somebody in Tennessee is doing this. Somebody in Utah is doing this. Somebody in New Jersey will do this when he gets home from traveling. And we are doing this in Montana. And this may sound a little over the top and woo-woo to some of you, but we've been listening for the last several weeks to Mr. Keshe about what our souls can do and how we can do things on other levels. So I just put this out here because this is a pretty desperate situation. Now, I did do one more thing because this was spoken of on a call recently when Ozzer brought it up with the type of energy that Dr. Billy works with. And I did make a request of him after I spoke to this man's wife and got her permission for Billy to work with him. And so I deeply appreciate the fact that Billy did do what he does on his level. So what my whole point of this is, we don't have to wring our hands and feel helpless and say, oh, isn't it awful? We can be proactive in these situations. And the thing I would continue with, this is the basics for people that may not be as involved in listening to everything as this group is. And so I start at this first level, and then we just will move on, you know, how to elevating the souls. But I want to give them something practical that anchors them to, I'm going to do this several times a day for this man. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you. Oh, and I would ask that each of you would add your intention for the well-being of this man. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And we already have a response from Peggy, who writes in the chat. Thank you for bringing this information forward. Yes, too many are still unaware of what really happens. We are working to elevate them quickly. I am sending all good intention now to the family you are speaking of. Warm, loving air hugs, light, love, and peace. She says, I am in Arizona. Count me in. Please post where to find his picture. Thank you.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you. And thank you, Peggy.
And James says, I am present.
I am present in your wish.
Thank you, Carolina.
And I am present in your wish as well.
And thank you.
I am present. Thank you.
I am present also.
I am present.
I am present, Nicholas, New Mexico.
I am present, Paul from Togo.
I am present here in Canada.
I am present. Caroline from Austria.
I am present. Flint from the United States.
I am present. John from Argentina.
Thank you, everybody. And I will find that address and post it. Thank you.
Excuse me, I grew up in Virginia. Where's he being kept? Loudoun County? Spotsylvania?
He lives near Dublin, Virginia, and he did say that there are, his wife did tell me that there's 4 or 5 private prisons, and these are not small, people. These are big places. And you know, it's it's a pretty inexpensive way for a country to create wealth, because they really don't have to get into machinery and make things. All they have to do is lock people up and throw cases at them. That what I have explained to people is, when you go into the courts in this country, you are not in a true court of law. You are in a private business. And when you go in those courts, those judges have their name plaque on the counter in front of them. And they will do whatever they will do in that venue, because it is their private business. They have contracted to run that business. And what the research has shown is this is going all the way up to the Vatican. This whole system is. It's private, for-profit corporations. Now, in the federal prisons, what you often will find is that there is a manufacturing center next door, and those prisoners that have quote-unquote good behavior can go work in those prisons. If it's a good situation, they might get 50 cents an hour. And several years ago, I was given some information that a man who was locked up said he was working on some type of tractor, and as the tractors were leaving that facility, they were being stamped "Made in China." They weren't made in China. They were made in a prison factory. What the research shows is that much of the correction corporations and all that here in America has an ownership that links back to the Jesuits. So it's a pretty dark situation that the media does not discuss in this country. They're only allowed to discuss what they're told to discuss. And what they do tell us all the time is that we do live in the land of the free. And I'm so glad to hear that. And we are all as free as we want our souls to be. I will add that. And I will add that we certainly are freer when we can surround ourselves with our plasma energy.
If you could post a picture of this fellow, would be appreciated.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to go out to the site and find that. Thank you.
Thanks.
In addition to your wish, I think it's fair enough to bring it forward. My wish is for all souls to be correct in the court of judgment. Caroline Keshe.
Thank you.
I am present. That will be.
There's more people, and I'm so glad that you brought respect to stand up. And every single soul which knows a soul is in problem through this system, it is a money-making business. So where is the correctness in a court of justice if the souls cannot behave correct in their judgment. So we wish for that to be present in every single court, that every single soul, it doesn't matter how you present or being presented in court, you come to the day of judgment in full honesty. That's my wish.
I am present.
And it's not so difficult as we are facing ourselves a court to appear on the 7th of the 8th. As I said this morning in the morning session, we will create a chat room after the public teaching. I'm trying to get the Zoom number to be posted where this meeting will take place. Feel free, everyone, to come and join, to draft the letter as we have discussed, and what was the discussing point this morning, because Belgium has asked for help and support to work together on this letter. So we will unite to write this letter tonight, in private and in full support. So later on in the teaching, we will present the letter. Feel free to come in to join us, to draft the letter. Thank you. You said there were 2 people. Rick, can you bring the second person up maybe?
Not sure if the other person is here right now, but Jalal did have his hand up and is in the panelists now.
There is somebody who's asking Marcus Merkel, how can I unmute my microphone, please?
Marcus Merkel, okay, I'll promote him to panelist.
We have
yes,
many.
Promote him.
We have many eyes trying to support that nobody is left out.
Hello, Marcus. Do you want to unmute your microphone and speak?
Everything perfect. Now I can do it. Beautiful.
Caroline, I have to get you in the mute. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Marcus.
I was just going to be present with all of you for Robert. And if you don't have the guns, if you just log in with your heart, if you pray to your heart, if you know we all have a connection in our heart, actually, if we are acting in a selfish way, I think it's always good to keep in mind that if you're not acting in a selfless way, in a way that makes the universe profit of all you think and do, you're hurting yourself. And as Caroline stated, there is a day of judgment, and there is something that comes back to you, and maybe you don't even know it. There is people that believe, and there is a science, or there is the art of going back to further lives. Something will come back and does come back, and the more powerful your action is, whether it's good or bad, it will come back sooner or later. and it does affect your life right now if you do something good. So if you know you can look into your heart and you can make contact with Robert and you help the good in the universe, it strengthens you. And if you just act in a selfish way, it's just natural to be aware that you hurt yourself and you hurt your loved ones as well, even though you, at the moment, you seem to profit. Well, naturally, I just wanted to sum it up with Robert Marcus from Austria is present as well, and even so, at the moment, it may not seem that way, as the heart is superior and is the glue that holds this world together, or the energy of the heart, the love. The good ones always win. And so I wish him all the best, and I wish all you all the best that are trying to act in a selfless way and doing our best doing so. And of course, even our own nature at times dumbfolds us, and just being aware of your own intentions and knowing that different voices in you exist. It's always a good idea to keep up your eyes open and see what you're doing and see how it affects this whole world. Thank you very much. I'm present.
Thank you. How strange it is how people come and meet in places and then start taking care and start taking them under your wings. It is beautiful. I wish there are more people that could stand up faster in the full confidence that it is not so difficult to stand up for somebody else. As I promised, if there is nobody else to come forward to share, I would like to introduce the medical team, which is fully present this afternoon, to come and share some more information, what this knowledge is achieving in reversing and processing the conditions of people. That maybe might give you an extra hint where you can put a hand out to serve and to take the best out of you, that you can do it. Because others have done it at home and they're proud to come and share it with us. Dr. Klaus, if you can take over, please.
And I'll just mention before we make that transition that there's many who have declared themselves present both in the live stream and in the Zoom chat. So I won't mention them all, but just to say they have made themselves known.
We acknowledge their presence. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. Dr. Klaus, are you present? I know Dr. Rodriguez is somewhere available this time.
Yes,
we thought we lost that beautiful soul, Dr. Rodriguez, but apparently you have been able to find him.
Yes, we found him. Oh, the other way around. He just told me he will be online in 1 or 2 minutes. So no problem. Maybe we can ask Dr. Rodrigo, because last week also the doctors and therapists joined the Peace Blueprint afternoon, and we talked about the experience and the development during the medical teaching, and we said there was a development from physical doctors to emotional ones to plasma psychologists. Maybe if Rodrigo is online, then he could talk about it from his point of view as a medical doctor. and also the impact on peace, if he sees one, and I'm sure he does. Because if you remember these beautiful pictures and this amazing case which opened our eyes with the lady with the breast cancer, where the impact of the soul, where we all became aware of the important impact of the soul in the medical team, in the medical side. This is something I think, if Rodrigo talks about it today again, it was a milestone in the medical teaching. Because when we realized that we do not need all these instruments or all these technologies, these plasma technologies are more or less a bridge, a help for us, which guides us, which opens doors to different levels or behaviors or different ways of focusing. And experiencing the impact of the intent and of the soul was really one of the milestones in the medical teaching. And interestingly, during the period of the teaching, from month to month, different types of personalities came in. This was something I really enjoyed. At the beginning, really the more physically oriented doctors joined the medical teaching. And from month to month, there were coming in people who were already, of course, from different kind of corners, were aware of the emotional background, the impact of the soul. So quite an interesting journey, and I'm very proud to be part of it and to support and to process together with all the doctors and therapists in the medical teaching. I think yesterday, or was it the day before, Carolina, you talked about the tree. And I just opened my microphone to talk about this kind of picture I had in my mind, the tree with the leaves, and I had a look at one of the first presentations in the medical teachings, and there we compared the plasma coil unit, the unit which consists of a lot of coils mounted on two walls. We compared these two walls with two trees which were standing in parallel, and we compared the leaves with the coils, and the framework, of course, the whole tree. And we talked about this comparison, this impact or the similarity to a tree to the plasma coil unit. Yeah, just let me have a look whether Rodrigo is already online. He just writes, I'm trying to connect. Okay. Let me just invite Rodrigo again. Here he is. So we can see him on the panel list now. I can see that no microphone is installed. Rodrigo, maybe you can switch on your microphone, or if you use a smartphone. Maybe you can use a headset. Caroline, I'm sure we will be able to talk with him in one of these days during blueprint teaching.
I hope so. We've been wishing for it. Give him some time to sort it out. Maybe Vince can look into what his real problem is. Maybe he can communicate in the chat or on a different level.
He just writes in the chat, I cannot hear.
He cannot what?
He cannot hear anything.
Oh my God. Yeah. Or type to him that maybe he has to restart his computer, because this has been going on for quite a few days. He has not been managing to get in.
Yes.
In the meantime, Dr. Klaus, I send you some information. If you can be so kind to, or do through screen sharing, or you can put them through to Rick. There are some pictures from a new testimony which has been put forward in how fast through GANs changes have occurred. And I know there are a lot of knowledge seekers in the background, which even with their own injuries, which they're posting into my Facebook Messenger or in the communication lines they have with me, that they say, look, this is how and what it happened, and this is what I did, and now look at the results, how beautiful they are. But this was actually an extreme case, and Dr. Klaus might give you some more explanation. I picked it up because it is quite severe, and then to see this kind of results, most probably in the near future, we will have more information about the change.
Can you see the pictures? I just shared my screen.
Yes, we see the 4 pictures on your main screen there now.
When you open up the picture, you have to share that picture.
Yes.
Yeah, it's best to share the picture rather than the screen. Okay, we can see that.
Okay. This is a picture. We did not discuss this case in the medical teaching. It came from testimonial, as just received the pictures. It seems that this gentleman cut completely his finger. And
Klaus, can we get you to adjust your microphone a little bit there? It's hard to hear.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yes, way better. Thank you very much.
Okay. I said this is these pictures are from a testimonial. We did not discuss it in the medical teaching. It seems that this gentleman cut his finger completely, and I just show you the pictures. We have 4 of them. The second one. He applied different types of ganses, and it seems that only after some weeks, his finger then looked like this. And he wrote that he can move his finger as good as before. And he used CO2 gas, zinc oxide gas. He sprayed it on the finger and he soaked the finger in it. And this is only one example. We already have, I would say, hundreds of these cases also in the medical teaching, documented cases where people go through their processing, and what we are trying to do now is going into categorize all the different diseases and the use of the different technologies. So at the beginning of the medical teaching, we had the problem. I could also say some of us had the fear that it takes months or even years until we get the first results. And so we suffered a bit the first 1, 2, 3 times on Wednesday afternoon. But as I can remember, after the third or fourth teaching, the doctors came in with the first results. The results after they gave the patients the GANS waters to drink, they sprayed them, they made a bath in the bath tube, and they began to build the different systems, the coil units, and after it, the ball units with the rotating balls. And as I can remember, after the fourth or fifth medical teaching, we had the first documented cases from the doctors on the table, and they said we can use it, we can publish it. Although we did not mention the names to protect all the doctors in the medical teaching, we still do not publish anything. If any of the doctors would like to publish it, he or she does it he or she does it for themselves. And from the fourth or fifth teaching on, we went over to discussing 3, 4, 5 different cases in the medical teaching, and designing more or less a specific combination of different cures, or however we don't want to use this word, different use of different plasma technologies. And the doctors became creative to combine drinking ganses, spraying ganses, bathing in ganses, using patches, using coils, using balls. And I would say after the 6th or 7th medical teaching, we all realized that we have really this impact of specific ganses on the emotions. And the impact on the emotions was the first step into the awareness that the soul is so important, also in the medical part of the Keshe Foundation. And this combination of different ganses, especially the zinc oxide GANs, which is on the level, on the field of the emotions, brought or the whole group away from the physical thinking to the plasmatic thinking. And I think I can say now that all the members of the medical teaching, if they come in contact with a new patient, with a new case, or however they see it, they see the whole situation, the whole patient, the whole illness from the plasmatic point of view. And if you, the first time we always ask Mr. Keshe, there is a patient, this patient has disease X. What shall we do? And Mr. Keshe was very patient with all the doctors, therapists with us. He started to explain again and again what we could do, what we could combine. But every time he starts to talk about the patient, he started to talk about possible emotional origins of the diseases. He started to ask about the situation the patient is in, about the age of them, about the behavior, about the words he is using. And then he went over to basic plasma devices, plasma ganses. He went over to specific ganses where he said, you can always combine, you can always use, for instance, the breathing of the plasma fields. And so he gave us in the medical doctor team a kind of tool set, a kind of different devices which we could combine with each other. And the more cases we discussed together, the more we became independent. And Mr. Keshe, the first times he was in the medical teaching, every time the first teaching he was present, the whole 3 hours, the second till the 8th or 9th or even 10th medical teaching, he always was talking, repeating, was patient, and answering to all the questions, even if we asked 10 times the same. And then what I realized, he was hoping that the team becomes independent, that the team starts to work, starts to think in a plasmatic way, starts to combine different plasmatic, different ganses, different types of devices. And he was very patient during this time. And I don't know exactly which number of the teachings this happened. It was more or less during the case Rodrigo presented us, during the lady with the breast cancer. When the doctors and therapists started to think in a plasmatic point of view, started to say, you could also let the lady drink or use this or use that. And from this time, I felt Mr. Keshe reached his aim, that the group of doctors becomes independent of him. And this is something he wishes for all the different parts of the foundation. And now we can say, if we start the medical teaching and the doctors come in with the cases, they create their own way, their own combination. of ganses, of devices, and they are already able to think in the plasmatic point, in the plasmatic view. And as Markus before said, the impact of the soul is something which is amazing when you take it into account. There is something what I will never forget when we built in Austria the first plasma coil unit, and we built the 2 walls and 10 coils on each wall. And I went between the walls the first time, and there was something changing. But Mr. Keshe said then once, what you really feel, what you think, where is the flow? How does the plasma flow? And we all had the picture in mind. At the back of the coil units there are plasma batteries, and at the front there are no batteries. So the flow must be automatically from the back to the front. And it is something you realize when you build a lot of these devices. You suddenly start to connect with them, and you suddenly become aware that not the hardware dictates the flow, but that you can dictate the flow. And this is something I tried. Then I stood between the walls and I tried to focus on specific points of my body, on specific organs. And I realized that it works. But I still needed, and we all still needed, this hardware, these coils to touch, to see. And this is what became less and less during from one week to another, because we realized that these machines only help us to become aware of the power of ourself, the power of our soul. And we realized that we dictate the flow, that we let the plasma flow through the bodies, that the doctors dictate the flow through the patients, that the doctors connect with the souls of the patients and elevate their souls, and that they do not heal. From the first medical teaching on, Mr. Keshe always said, please, if you are part of the medical teaching, we do not heal anymore. We are processing. And this is something we all had to learn. We all had to experience, especially for ourselves. And as we said last week, when the doctors went into the blueprint for peace in the last Wednesday, there were a lot of doctors who thought they just offered their patients a new kind of cure, new kind of tablets or new kind of waters which they can sell them. And there were suddenly these doctors saying then, why didn't you tell us about the side effects of plasma technologies? And the others and Mr. Keshe said then, what you mean? What side effects does plasma technology have? We don't know any side effects. And the doctor said then, there is a huge side effect. I gave a lady to to drink plasma water, zinc oxide, CO2 water daily over several weeks. And suddenly her husband came into my practice and he complained that his wife completely changed. And he shouted and he said, "What have you done with my wife?" And he said, "My wife changed completely. She stands up. I'm not able to handle her anymore. She becomes independent." And the doctor then was set up too, and he said, "But he used the word healing. She is healing. You see, she becomes better and better from every day." And the husband said, "Then yeah, but I can't handle her anymore." So you didn't tell me about these kind of side effects. And this is, of course, a part of processing. People change their way of living. People change even locations. People process. People develop. People connect. Think about their emotions, connect with their soul, and change sometimes immediately over weeks or over months. And they connect with their souls and they balance themselves. And so we became aware that even relationships are changed, or people did not want to live together with their partners because they couldn't cope with each other. Or I know one case when a couple, when the lady applied ganses, produced ganses, drank them, and was and is a knowledge seeker, but her husband didn't want to know and hear anything about it. And it's just a matter of the time that you are changing, because it's a kind of call of your soul that you are using the ganses, because your soul knows that the ganses are have the ability, give you the information how to open the window, to the universe, to other fields, to come closer to your own soul, to reconnect with your soul, and to get the power back we already had. Mr. Keshe often said, we just cut ourselves more or less by purpose to get to know all these fields, to this life without all the light we were used to. But now it seems to be the time, and this was last time, the second part we were talking about, the impact of the medical team of offering patients plasma technology, the impact on peace. And this is, of course, something we all realized, that if we connect with our soul and if we balance our bodies, our fields, then we find peace in ourselves. And if we find peace in ourselves, we don't want to touch any weapon anymore, because we don't see a reason to touch a weapon, because we have all the energy we need, we have all the power we need from ourselves. And this is also the development we saw in the medical teaching, when suddenly Mr. Keshe said, then we are the creator. We talked about it in the medical teaching long. What is if we are the creator? What does it mean that we are the creator? This was about the case with Rodrigo and the lady with the breast cancer, where the first words fell when Rodrigo also said the impact of the soul was huge during this process. And being in balance, or trying to be in balance, connecting with the soul, being in peace with yourself, of course, has an impact on peace in the world. And again, important was another stage in the medical teaching. As soon as we started to talk about the impact of the soul, we talked about the intent when we were making ganses. What is the impact of the intent on the processing, on how the patients could process? We didn't talk about it in the first times, but when we talked about the soul, we started to talk about the intent when we are nano-coating, the intent when we are making ganses. And we had the manufacturing and the workshop meeting yesterday. And we talked about the step-by-step procedure, how we are nano-coating. And again, we all were aware that we should make a kind of box, a kind of room before we enter, that we should check our intent. We said there should be a kind of plate on which is written, please check your intent. Or maybe a mirror. And people should not enter this room if they feel my intent is not good today. They better do something else, relax. Because we found all out, making a GANS with the right intent, this GANS is much more powerful. Nano-coating, the layers, the fields, adopt your intent. Nano-coating, when you have your boxes, you create a kind of magnet for carbon, for instance. Everything which is in the box and around the box is part of the environment. Is part of the environment, part of your magnet, which pulls more or less the fields into the salt water. And in plasma technology, everything is a field. Magnetic, gravitational fields are around us, everything in the whole universe. And when we are nano-coating, when we are GANS making, also when we are nano-coating, not only the plates, the copper plates, the containers, the mesh inside is part of this magnet. Also our intent, our thoughts, our whole being is part of this magnet. So it's a composition of ourself with our intent and the nano-coating box and the GANS making box, which creates the ganses. And all our thoughts and our intent is stored in the ganses. And when we then go to the next process to wash the ganses, to be able, for instance, to drink it, then this information, these fields stay inside. And in the medical teaching, this went along with the impact of the soul, the intent during we are nanocoating, the intent during we are making ganses. And so we again moved on. We again processed together. And we are used to process together because the whole group realized we have to change from giving the patients their tablets to be all one group. They were not the patients and the doctors. We are all one group. And we realized it's the same when we treat or when we deal with animals. We had this big discussion in the medical teaching. Should we also let in, under brackets, let in vets? Because these are animals. And very quickly the answer of the doctors and also from Mr. Keshe came, what is the difference between an animal, human being, a plant, a tree, a cat, a dog? Nothing. Seen from plasmatic point of view, there is no difference. And now the vets came in. Then the vets came in. Applied more or less the same techniques and reported even quicker their results than the doctors who had to deal with the human beings. And we asked us, why are animals reacting quicker? Why do the vets have quicker results than the medical doctors? And our conclusion was they just adopt it. They don't have this software, these patterns of fear in themselves. They are more or less open to adopt the fields. And the doctors also found out that they also represent their owners. And they included the owners of the animals. They included the emotional part. And when it came then to the teachings where the impact of the soul was discussed, we all found out there is no difference between treating a human being, an animal, a plant, or whatever. And these were so beautiful experiences during the weeks and months of the medical teaching. And now we are here. And maybe there are some other doctors here who would like to talk about their experiences. I don't know whether Rodrigo has a stable connection. Or maybe there are some others who would like to talk about their experience. Let me just have a look. Stop sharing.
Hi, Claus. This is Bernard from Canada. Am I coming in?
Hello.
How are you today? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, if it's clear enough.
It's a little bit weak, but we can hear you.
Okay, I'll be closer to the mic here, but I've tried to post this on a few occasions. I have something I could contribute maybe. I use coil pads in conjunction with health pads. They seem to magnify the energy of the health pads. They work very well. I've been using them for a year. I haven't posted on my Facebook page in my pictures how I make these pads. They're sort of a mini health unit, if you want to call it that. I've used them on my lungs. I've used them for a few people I know that have gotten pretty good results. I'm not a great public speaker, but if there's questions or something, just interrupt me and I'll try to explain. Basically, I make coils and different sets of coils. The photos are on my Facebook. I don't know if Rick can look in my pictures and pull up. They're in my photos. There's a picture of a slipper and a detail of some coils. And in amongst all that, there's a zinc coil with infinity loops. I think it's got 4 coils on it. Other coils, clockwise and counterclockwise movement. These are all nano-coated. I stick them on a piece of duct tape. I carefully place them and then I cover them with duct tape to protect them. And I use those pads on the outside of my health pads. I'll tape a CO2 pad, or I'll start with a CuO pad and the CO2 on top. And the health pads basically go close to the body. The coil pad's always on the backside. For my lungs and people who have lung problems, I've used this. I don't know if I should say this, but I'd probably be dead by now if I didn't have those. There was a point where I was coughing blood. Maybe I'll go into detail about it later. But basically what I did, I found that the pads had helped repair a dislocated shoulder. And then at one point last year, I woke up and there was a bit of red. This comes from the
Excuse me,
smudge.
we cannot hear. Please speak louder.
Okay, I'll see if I don't know if I can turn the volume up. I don't, I'm not a real computer whiz here.
If you could come closer to your microphone position, then that most probably would make the difference for you.
All right. What didn't you hear? Where I left off? Where did I leave off that you didn't pick up?
As much as you remember, you can restart.
Okay. Basically, I use the coil pads to help myself and some other people.
If that is possible for you.
Yeah.
To share your...
Am I coming in clear?
Yeah, this is pretty good now.
It's good. All right. I don't want to start messing around with the buttons. You'll lose me altogether.
Just speak into the mic. You should be okay there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, basically, I was just saying that the coil pads is sort of a mini unit that I've been using for a year. Last year, I coughed a little bit of blood when it came up, and I applied these pads. I had used them to help repair a dislocated shoulder, which was almost instant. I applied the pads to my feet, both feet, my slippers, and I threw one on my shoulder. After about 15 minutes, I had a throbbing on my left arm that went right to my elbow, just about. I held on to that for about 20 minutes, and that was it. The shoulder was repaired in one go, because the next morning it was like a rusty old hinge. I gave it one push, no more pain. That was it. The shoulder had repaired itself, and it had given me problems for a year. Well, with that experience, and I came into the lung problem, I thought to myself, with the knowledge that's been taught to us, I did the same thing with the coil pads. I had 4 coil pads. So I had a pad on each lung, front and back. And I made a harness with duct tape for each pad. Something that you would use for a broken collarbone, say, for instance. There's a type of harness that straps on the side. I basically made a thing with the duct tape and the same thing. But on the front of each pad, I had potential difference. I had one pad with CO2 zinc, and the copper on the backside of that, and outside of that would be a coil pad. And on the back, I did the opposite. I just used a CO2 pad with a coil pad. So basically, you've got 4 pads on your upper body, front and back part of your lungs. And I slept with that. The first time I put it on, in 20 minutes, my lungs were clear. I couldn't believe it. So I would wear it for a few times, and that just basically cleared up. But I found that I've had to use it again a few times, and I found that I could sleep with it or wear it indefinitely, and my lungs are clear as a bell. I don't know what the problem was. I don't need to confirm things, because if you confirm stuff, generally it'll add to the problems if your will is not strong. So, but I brought this to other people for different things, fibromyalgia, other things like that, and it works. But the type of plasma water you use on your pads also makes a difference. This I've experimented with, but it's like a mini health unit. You can place a pad on the front of your body, on the back of your body, on one side of your leg, the other side of your leg, wherever there's an injury. But keep a potential difference between the health pads that you use, if you understand which GANS water to use. Is that understood? Rick, can you get into my Facebook file? Is anybody there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Just look on my picture, in my photos. I'm not real good at pulling stuff out like that. You know, I'm good at a lot of things, but computer, I'm relatively new to computers. And in my photos, you'll see a picture with, I think there's a slipper and there's a coil pad there. I've posted these before, but Facebook is blocking me. I just can't post anymore. So I come under attack constantly. Not verbally, just on my computer. They shut me down. They do everything. What I've also found is applying the health stuff to other people, going to help them with it. It's probably just as much your intentions as it is the tool that you're using. But you know, intentions are strong, but they also need physical action. As we're doing now with the health team, with the peace teachings, is that physical actions are also important with the focus of our energy and the thoughts. Any questions? For those who've had lung problems, this would clear you up. My father died of emphysema about 5 years ago, maybe 6. Had I known what I know now, my father would still be alive. Generally, I have these bouts of lung.
Thank you.
Excuse me?
I said thank you.
Yeah, I'm not finding the pictures, Bernard. There's 2 pictures only of the Ganses and lots of pictures of your kids and stuff, but I don't see any other pictures here.
Look in the folder. I got folders. There's some medical. There's look on the medical one, and there's some under different things. Medical folders got a number of them. There's someone.
Yeah, there's health pins. There's all kinds of things. There's spirals. There's pictures. You've got a lot of production here. The thing is, I don't know if the doctors want to get into this right now, Bernard. Frankly, we should consult with them and see what's going on here. This is a time for the doctors, not for people that aren't doctors, I think. But I could be wrong about that.
Claus asked for some input, and I thought it was my opportunity
to
get something in.
Rick, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, hello. Yes, connected to this, I would like to add something, because basically, I'm part of the doctors group, but because I never had like a lab opportunity to have a lab to make the health unit. I always worked only with the pen that I bought from the foundation that did a always really good job. Like I had patients that benefit from it with Parkinson's and with knee problems. So I had really good result that I have to say that they start to happen after I've been started using the pen pen and the pad. But also I was very frustrating because my dad that lives far away from me, it also had an issue with his health. After the Mehran, as you know, I been part of the Mehran group. We start to, like Keshe said, change the level of the teaching to high level. That was the level of the soul, and he a lot of time emphasized the fact that your body, it's more powerful, far beyond that any plasma or any machine we learned to use. And learning the machine was just a step to learn more about the plasma fields, how they interact with each other, and how can we use it on our benefit to improve people's health. And so I start to, as it was said, that our soul, like I said the other day, the soul was stronger than the sun. I started from Africa to connect with my dad and to improve his health. My objectives was improve his health by distance, by giving him unconditional love. And I was doing this daily. The day before to go to the Mehran was very difficult because my dad was very going worse and he's supposed to be in his house on his own for a short time. So my sister, she expected me to go to Italy, but actually I diverted and I decided to go to Africa. So it was a big problem for them because they couldn't understand my choice. But from the very first day, I started to practice what Keshe was telling us, to work from the soul. And the next time I speak with my father and my family, he was perfectly fine. He really improved. And he told me things on the phone he never told me before, because for him it was always difficult to share love. So he never told me he loved me, he never told me he was caring for me. We had a really lovely conversation we never had before, and it was also much improved. So for me it was big learning to
I think we lost her, Rick.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So for me it was important experience to go through it, that we also, all of us, we have this power inside us from the soul, and if we connect with the soul, we can make a change with the machine or without the machines or without the tools. So, and I just wanted to share this experience. So I agree with the gentleman before that, and also like Klaus just said, that it's very important, your intention and you to be able to connect. And since I done this, I don't feel any more far away from my parents, because this was another problem. Me always working abroad, and I always felt that I was far away from my parents, and they're getting old, and I want to give the support, but when they most need it, I'm not there. So we've this way of thinking, of connecting with the soul, and to know that our soul is powerful and you can make a change. It really improved all my daily life generally. So I feel now very connected with every person I know, and that I need to be with them. And this is what is very different. So now I'm much more like content with myself and my life. So I just want to share this experience, because not everyone has a possibility to have a lab and to have making health unit. So for those people, if we turn into work on with the soul, then you will realize you don't need them. I just want to share this.
Okay, is there any other doctors that wanted to say something at this point?
Hello, this is Nicholas.
Hi, Nicholas.
Hello, Nicholas.
Hello. I want to share something that I experienced and learned from one of our colleagues in the health group. And I want to say that we learn so much from each other, sometimes asking naive questions that then really lead to something much deeper. But one colleague who practices, remind me, Klaus, where Claudia practices, is it Brazil?
Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things that I learned from her, and she has been working with the plasma technology for a number of years and has brought a lot to the group with a number of different techniques and protocols that she's been working very effectively. What I began to realize from Claudia was that when she begins to work with a patient and takes them on, she loves them. She loves them right into their joy and their this, what we were speaking of earlier, to realize that they are beautiful and that their life is valuable. And she's telling them that over and over. And she, along with the other protocols that she gives them on a level, is she asks them to speak to the ganses, to speak to the devices, you know, with the intent of healing their bodies and for, you know, bringing joy into their lives. And I realized that, along with all the techniques for her, was really a foundation of her work. So I wanted to share that because I felt like it goes along with the theme we're working with. And when we can make a person feel beautiful, when we can support a person to feel beautiful, to see themselves as healed, to see themselves as healthy and contributing to their lives, then often some of the things that we build up that create the disease fall away. And so I just wanted to share that because I noticed that Claudia hasn't been able to be present in some of these presentations. So thank you very much.
Thank you for all your input. Thank you for all your beautiful work. It took time to learn. It took time to master the full understanding. Soon, the tools in the physicality will disappear as we are in the stage of development to work through our intent of our soul. We don't need to use the bridges of the ganses or the nano-coated materials. We are still partly very physical, but I think the ones which have been working with the ganses and through the nano-coating process, they will evolve that step higher of understanding. At least that's what I'm feeling. Just 1 second, please. You're going to go deaf by Topoli.
Perhaps we can make use of a minute of silence while Caroline comes back.
I'm back. Our little body sometimes likes to make a lot of noise. As I was explaining that the people which we are evolving in graduation. I mean, as you're coming on the path, even for the new souls which are coming on board every day, the family is growing very fast. As Dr. Klaus and Dr. Rodriguez, through the cooperation and the involvement of so many others, and seeing the results appearing so fast, but actually standing still by what is their purpose of their soul in this process. I think this was one of the first steps which touched them, to then to approach the medical systems from a totally different point of view. And as they moved in this new direction, things really started opening up more and more. How the systems are expressing, you're positioning me okay, your intent is okay, this is not okay. So you start getting synchronized with your creation. This is at the same time at this level happening with all of us. We slowly start synchronizing because we start talking or bringing topics forward which are opening another door or reconnecting to something. And it's not a repeat, it's not boring, it's not to, just to talk, but it's so fine what and how your soul takes you by the hand to come and speak about certain topics. And then you see this umbrella unfolding of so many souls which say, I am present. I confirm, I have gone through this, I did this, I did it that way. So we're all maturing in our own process. As I said, we are each a musical instrument with our own tune. And the beautiful thing is, you can tune your musical instrument to the tune how you want to sound. These are the windows that Mr. Keshe says, how do you want to express yourself? How do you want to present yourself? How do you want others to experience what is of your need to express yourself? These are the filters that now, with all the tools of the knowledge and all this sharing, you're continuously retuning your own soul, your own instrument, which is your body, to come to the perfection in the tune that you chose. Nobody else chose. This is the difference. Because when you take your guitar or your piano or whatever in your hands, sometimes you need an expert to come and tune it. This time, the foundation, through Mr. Keshe's teachings and his support and really making sure you're on board of understanding, he has given you every single tool to tune how do you want to shine, in what color, in what taste, in what smell, in what vibration, in what sound, in what transparency. So you are now receiving all the tools to change those filters. So this is the freedom of your creation, of who you are. In every single level, I think this blueprint weeks have brought us to a much higher level that we were before we even started. To come to understand, to take all these parts, to come to be presented, to show you, hey, you got everything. Start tuning. I give you a little bit of this and I give you a little bit of that. Because through all these tiny little things, you can start tuning your own piano, because everybody knows you have to be an expert to go and tune a piano. And you have to have the right earring. You have to have the right tools. It's quite complicated. I watched it. It takes training. Now, your beauty of your life path is to tune your physicality to your soul. And if there are any more questions how to get tuned with your own creation, you're quite welcome to come and share more. Because each topic opens a door from somebody else's filter to change his color or to his taste or to his functionality, or you reach him another tool for him to shine more. But the first thing of all is that we have all come to an exception of, in whatever level you can recognize it for yourself, we are full of gratitude towards whoever, from whoever we are receiving. We have calmed down, all of us. The stress of the beginning is no longer there, because the path has become more and more clear which one and what direction we are walking. And it indicates more and more the synchronization of understanding, locking one into another. Hey, I can give you a kiss. Hey, I can give you a cuddle. Hey, please do that smile in the mirror, because then you will shine like a diamond. Because you can. And I think all these tools have come on our path in the last few weeks in the blueprint, has given you more tools than just the ganses and the nanomaterials. Beside that, you're going to have to work in twofold. You're still going to need the ganses and the nano coating, because for the ones you're going to start reaching out your hand to give, you most probably can only make the bridge through the physicality until they're ready to come into your level, that you can show them you can work through your soul path straight away. Unless, and I think the easiest, how can I say, the easiest level of people you will touch and bring to your level very fast are the children, when you teach them in the mirror how they can create themselves, how they can keep themselves full. They will understand so fast, as us older people maybe will have to struggle a little bit or still have to be handed against. It's okay, because you still do the process of giving. Or there are more people that can come and share the path, how to make your soul beautiful, to shine. Anybody there?
We're all here.
I am present.
Hello, Caroline. This is Nicholas again. I have something that I would like to share.
I'm present.
If I may, from our morning session where we talked about the mirror, and we had this beautiful presentation or words from Gandhi that we saw, it really touched me to actually bring that to myself in front of the mirror. And so it came to me a poem that I remembered, and from a poet that I've loved very much in my life, Hafiz. And if I could, I would appreciate reading his poem that he wrote that is entitled, "Do You Know How Beautiful You Are?" If that would be okay.
Yes.
I could put it up on screen share. I have it here, and then I will read it as well. Is that okay, Rick?
I think so. This is as long as it's not something copyrighted, that's all.
Okay, this is a poem by Hafiz. Do you know how beautiful you are? I think not, my dear. For as you talk of God, I see great parades of wildly colored birds, of wildly colorful bands streaming from your heart and mind, carrying wonderful and secret messages to every corner of this world. I see saints bowing in the mountains hundreds of miles away to the wonder of sounds that break into light from the most common words. Speak to me of your mother, your cousins, and your friends. Tell me of squirrels and birds you know. Awaken your legion of nightingales. Let them soar wild and free in the sky. And begin to sing to God. Let's all begin to sing to God. Do you know how beautiful you are? I think not, my dear. Yet Hafiz could set you upon a stage and worship you forever.
Because his writings were always on the level of the soul.
Thank you, Caroline.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. That was very beautiful. Somebody else?
We didn't listen to the whole of your comment, Caroline.
What do you mean?
You started saying he was always writing about the soul, but then you were cut off apparently.
Ah, okay. He, Hafiz, is very well known as a poet. When you start reading his poems, he always wrote on the level, pardon, on the level of the soul. That's why so many people, really, when they have a dead end, they open Hafiz, they say. If Azar would have been here, I think she would have more than confirmed how beautiful the poems of Hafiz are. Because he wrote on the level of the soul. Because he was always, always admiring the beauty. If anybody else has any experience with Hafiz, you can get the translations from Persian or Arabic into English or even maybe German. It depends how many languages has been explained. You lose quite a lot of the beauty of his expression when it's translated. So if you have somebody in his native language which can do the translation line by line, then you see the real beauty of his pen. What he has written his whole life is so beautiful.
Well, I'm Persian. I know Hafiz, and I know Maulana, Mawlavi. He's a master of spirituality. He is my favorite, and his poems are so profound. Sometimes I used to read and sleep just after. Maulana, which the Turkish, they have dancing, this special dance, Turkish dance, because he was buried in Turkey. Dervish dance. The Dervish, they have a dancing with zikr, with singing, and they're followers of Maulana Rumi. He is the master, and Hafiz is very favorite of Iranians. And at the time, if he wanted to say some of the things, he could have problem with the state. So he put the words in a way that are very normal and routine, but another sense of it is more profound without having any problems. And they appreciate him very much. And his grave in Shiraz, Iran, is a beautiful place, a garden, and people go visit them most of the time. And he knew Quran by heart, seems like. And he was living 700 years ago. So many people even in Iran, I mean, the Iran I know because I wasn't there for 30, 40 years. They don't have education sometimes, but they know the poetry by heart and use it at home. Like the grandmothers, they have these poetries, they know by heart, and but they didn't have, they didn't know how to write and read exactly. So that is what is the base of the culture, these poets are the basic Iranian culture. And then it's that and the other things, the basic culture of Iranians, the basic value is humanity. Like humanity of a person is is more important than his color, his religion, where he comes from. If he's a human in heart, people love him. And that's why most Iranians in other countries, they are very well accepted because they try to be human, correct attitude towards others. And because humanity is everywhere the same, so they don't feel homesick outside because others are like themselves. Mostly it's like that. And they're very hospitable. Like sometimes they offer the better food to person who is a stranger, better than what they eat themselves. And they feel valued because of this service. They feel more important if they do that. And they are noble people, I feel. I mean, I like, with my emotions, I like this kind. They are noble these days. They have sort of integrity, which is, I could never imagine could happen to them. These days they are, I mean, not the rich people, but the normal people I go to visit, the cities everywhere. And this noble heart, this integrity, that money is not everything. Money is not a shame anymore. That is amazing to see. Money is not a shame. I have nothing, I can invite you. But it was important before. You didn't have meat at home, you didn't invite people or things like that. And I'm very glad that there are examples like that on the earth. So I hope everybody finds peace of mind and peaceful attitude for others, because it's so easy to be like that. It's more natural, like the children. It's more easy to be generous and love people and be comfortable rather than take the cover all the time over yourself to be afraid or whatever. So these are poet people, poet-loving people. There are many, like these years, whenever I see TV over there, there are many TV matches, programs, even children, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, they know a lot of poetries by heart, like there are matches that each group has to correspond for the last word they say with another poetry, and they go on 1 hour. It's amazing how these children are so motivated for these things. It's amazing, but well, that's it.
Thank you for really sharing more background. If you hear Mr. Keshe talking about Hafiz, he will give you a totally different flower arrangement of Hafiz, because the way Hafiz has expressed himself to stay in a gentle way to keep the souls going in their path. And yes, it was handed down through talking. The elderly people were passed it down by stories. And the amazing thing is that they kept these kind of wisdoms so intact without diverting from what he intended to write down on paper. It is absolutely amazing how this kind of knowledge was preserved by so many in the correct way, not becoming like a whisper, then diverting off the path. they have stayed so precise to the meaning, how he was writing. It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Do we have somebody else who wants to share a beauty of creation so we can express our gratitude towards it? Anyone raising his hands? Rick somewhere in the background or from the other connections, because I cannot oversee those.
No attendees with their hands up right now. Let me check the...
Rick, I'll share something just very briefly. This is Lynn in Montana, and I spoke at the beginning of the call about the man in prison. And I just wanted to say, he's the man who introduced us to the Keshe technology. And it was just he said, why don't you look into this? You might find it interesting. And this was a couple years ago. So I just wanted to share that, because you never know when somebody's going to drop a pearl in your lap. And when you follow through on it, what amazing, what amazing things happen in your life. So thank you. I just wanted to add that.
This was a very nice surprise of you. So now it even makes it so interesting why it appeared today. Why did you, how you brought it forward. And it's very nice to acknowledge that this was the soul who brought you into our family. And there is this picture trying to appear. Yeah. So now we have a visual image of a knowledge seeker. He has, by paying it forward to other souls, now is manifesting in a public teaching where we can create the support he needs. Now we see how souls work in mysterious ways. If you trust the soul and if you trust the path, you can imagine what more you can achieve. Thank you for bringing him to our attention so we can support the family and also the knowledge seeker. Thank you so much.
I am present and give from my soul to Reagan.
I am present.
To my soul for Reagan.
I am present.
I am present. Pia from Denmark.
I am present.
I'm present.
Jalal from Iraq. I am present. But for me, he looked familiar. I don't know. I know this guy, really.
The beautiful thing is that when I start explaining about the movie Paying It Forward from that little boy, the lawyer came across a path of somebody who was applying Paying It Forward. And because he was paying it forward by saving a girl who had a severe asthma attack in the hospital, the nurse would not listen. And he made such a chaos that because of his action, the police arrested him and put him in jail. Then when the reporter was on his path of his quest, he was visiting him in the jail, and he said, but how, why, when he did the story? And then he said, oh, I don't mind sitting here. He says, because I can do my paying forward so easy. He says, I'm reaching so many. But the journalist somewhere had somehow a paying forward too that he wanted to achieve. So he said, I can get you out. So he had to go out of his way to get this Black person who maneuvered himself in the prison to be able to do his paying forwards. And the way he was handling it as a journalist was amazing. And he got the guy out. So, lady, be assured that the doors of opening up for this gentleman are already on the move. You are paying it forward. And it was your wish, and we are all present. And it is amazing how you bring it forward to relate it to what I learned from that tiny little boy. And once you understand, you don't want to stop paying it forward for another soul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. And you know, it doesn't take long, not even in the same situation with the boy. Within a time frame of 2 weeks, please come back and let us know the position. And if we need to be there for more, with the greatest pleasure. No problem. You're welcome anytime.
What I want to say real quickly is he was feeling pretty abandoned, and he has reached out and helped many, many, many people. And I've experienced some of what he is going through. So when I heard back from his wife, I was touched, but I was somewhat appalled that out of all the people that he has reached out and helped, everybody has run for cover. It's almost like you get the measles or another disease, and everybody's afraid they're going to get it too, and so they run and hide. And so I'm so excited to write to him and on one of my special pieces of paper and let him know that there are people all over the world who are supporting his soul, even when the ones that he has reached out to help have backed away, and just left a very small group of people. And I'm so small, you can fit that group on one hand to help him. Many years ago, he was what you would call a millionaire status. And over the years, he's given away so much to other people that their status at this point is they're about to lose their property. And so when you see this happen to people, you have to sometimes say, well, why? But then if you understand that here's a man who's given from his soul, and it may be that he had to be in a situation to receive from the souls from others, because as Mr. Keshe has talked about with the magnetic gravitational, with the whole thing with energy, we must not always just be give, give, give. We also have to sometimes step back and receive to be in complete balance. So perhaps this is a great balancing for him, and thank you, everybody.
I do appreciate, and I would really love to invite you as a teacher somewhere, somehow, if you have time, because you really explain it as magnificent as you can. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And Carolina, that's what we've done with our website that we put up in trying to teach people at a well, I guess what I would call an entry level, a basic level with the plasma technology. And yet with what we are doing with what we call our plasma energy station is it's really based on intention. And when we set it up a year ago, it was our intention. Let's see what we can do with this. So I don't want to turn this into a commercial, but I'll just put the link in the chat if that's all right. And we did have feedback from a lot of people when we were on we had a 2.5 interview with a private subscription online news service here in the US. And it was supposed to be an hour and a half, and it went for 2.5 hours. And we've had a lot of input from people. Just thank you. You know, I've been following Mr. Keshe, and thank you for explaining things at a basic level. So thank you, Carolina, for your words.
You are more than welcome. And please carry on with the way you are guiding so many other souls. And through this gentleman, which is here now in front of us, as you said, maybe we have to rebalance his structure for a change instead of him trying to balance everybody else. It doesn't matter, because at the time he has paid so much forward. I have no idea how many people are present everywhere, downloading, listening. But the confirmations are there in reality. So you have to have no doubt that this wish will be completed. And please guide by posting in the chat room where you are, what you're doing. And most probably we can join with you and you can join with us, because we're short of people teaching in the States. We can use so many more, because it is not a small land, it's big, and you have an amount of people which are really in need. So please come forward, share your information, connect through Facebook, get to know our other knowledge seekers. We will share with pleasure. And thank you for your presence. I honor you, and I respect you, and I embrace you, and I invite you to become a physical teacher for the foundation if this is a path you see that is able for you to walk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolina. And I'll add one more thing for people out there, and Stefania touched on that. We're in a small town where there are probably, let me see, I can think of 3 people I can talk to about Keshe technology, and a 4th somewhat. And for the most part, they're going to clap their hands over their ears and shut their eyes. And so we stayed in the background for a long time until we finally said, let's just get out here and do this. And so for those of you that might be experiencing that in your own environment, somebody said one time, the world is your oyster. Move beyond your local boundaries. As somebody said a long time ago, it's hard to be a prophet in your home territory. When you move out, sometimes people have better ears to hear. And out of a family where there are 5 siblings, and my mother's still alive, I have 2 siblings with ears to hear and with our plasma energy stations. And the rest still have their hands over their ears. So we have to work with the ones who are open to hearing, because they will go on and share in some ways in their own environments. And when my nephew was in the ICU unit, nobody was listening to my brother, and I kept talking to him. Do what you can. I know it's an ICU unit, that they're not going to let you in with what you want to try. So he took his water bottle in with plasma water in it from his energy station, and he would go in the bathroom and put it on paper towels and come out and wipe the hands and feet and the face, just as though he's giving comfort to my nephew. And that's how we got the plasma energy in the hospital room. And I said, while you're at it, if you just set the towel on the corner of the bed for a moment, that energy will go into the sheets and into the bed. And so the intention is there, and that's what we've been talking about today. We must realize that our intention is bigger, as Dr. Klaus has said, and as many of you have said. It's bigger than all the machines and coils and pads that we can make, but those are also important because they're amplifying what our intention is. So thank you, everybody. I'm excited to share this with Regan's wife, because she's been feeling very isolated and alone, and I had only talked to her for the first time yesterday. So once I heard from her, then I was busy all day trying to get other people on board. And today's been huge for getting energy for Regan. This is just great. Thank you.
I can add a comment from Peggy in the chat, who says, "We are the souls that don't run. We do stay to help, even if others disappear. We replace the missing ones. Light, love, and peace." And Bernard adds, "I wish him better and out today is my wish. And now you have a full group to help. Cheers." And he also adds, "Results will come of this." Okay, during this time where we're discussing this, hello?
Hello, it's Stefania. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just would like to say thank you to Lynn for sharing. Also, I would like to add what also Keshe said to us during the motion. That was that you need only one man, one person can change the whole world. One soul elevated, and we all gonna be elevated. So that is the power that we have. So like the husband, I think, of Azar shared the other day, that he changed the whole city and whole village around him with his intention. So I think all of us, it will be pretty easy to help this man and all the people that are in need now by putting our intention to it and connect with each other's. So it should be a very easy job if you can do with only one man. Yeah, I just wanted to share this.
Thank you. And Emmanuel Spiteri also mentions, "I am present and give from my soul and for the ones who are keeping him locked." Okay, well, during this time where we've been discussing this, something has just come to my attention that I'd like to present, and it's perhaps an indicator of what we've just been talking about, that we need to see some examples of this change that we're talking about for peace on this planet. So this is, let me share it. This is a signed, let's get it lined up here, signed World Peace Treaty with the Cherokee Nation of Indians in America. The Aniwaya Nation, I'm not sure the exact pronunciation of that. Someone might help me with that, but it's
Rick,
the
I'll help you with that. This is Lynn. Regan is the high elder in the Anawahia Nation, and I recognize these people that have signed the peace treaty. This is quite a coincidence, and part of the reason he's locked up is because of the issues that he has brought forward of the Treaty of 1730 and even earlier treaties, where the British monarch at the time was King George, and he signed a treaty with the Anawahia Cherokees, and Cherokee was kind of a collective name assigned to a group of people, like we might say Indians or white men or something like that. So Regan always made the distinction that the Cherokee, this group of the Anawahia, were not the casino Cherokees. And these, he has brought forward to the World Court that this nation is actually a collection of a large amount of land that includes Virginia and North Carolina and South Carolina and some of the deeper southern states into Kentucky and to Tennessee, and that all would form the Anawahia nation boundaries based on the treaty that they had at the time with King George. And the treaty stated that our canoes will travel side by side and we will never impede your commerce. So Regan has brought that to the world stage. There have been cases brought forward and judgments brought forward, and one of the ways that movements like this are stopped in this country is for the IRS to come in and manufacture cases against people and then just pile things onto their lives to where things get worse and worse and worse. And then, of course, like I said, the locals come in and arrest him to being a flight risk. And, you know, it just goes on and on and on. But this is going to go all the way back into the banking structure, the structure back into the city of Washington, D.C., the city of London, and Vatican City are independent entities that answer to no one but to each other. And so the Vatican sits as the head, the City of London sits as the center of banking and insurance, and Washington, D.C., with its Pentagon, which is a mirror pentagram of the death camps of World War II, sits as the military arm for the Vatican. So when we are looking at world peace, this whole peace treaty is very, very important, because this is a whole movement that has put this man into a jail lockup with no bailout for supposedly maybe being a flight risk, but supposedly also not having a registration on his car. And he didn't need a registration on his car because he has the designation of being of the Anawahia Nation. So it's all a batch of smoke and mirrors that is going on, but it's it's certainly quite a coincidence that this is the World Peace Treaty that came up today, because he is known as the High Elder of this group. So thank you for sharing that.
That's really amazing coincidence, I would say.
Absolutely.
And this ties in. This is very. This is not insignificant by any means, because now that the native nations have decided to bond together, like in the U.S. and Canada, for example, and now essentially all over the world, the original nations are they're bonding together, and they're forming very powerful representation. And so this is just an indicator of the flood that will inevitably happen. Perhaps this will be the the indicator of that grassroots movement that's moving toward this idea of peace. I mean, I'll just read it here, how they have the same wording exactly from this moment on, except to lay down all tools of aggression and war. Our nations shall never think about getting involved or incite war or develop or use any tools of war in the territory or any other territories or in space, and so on, agreed to. And I look at the seal, especially if you look closely at the seal, and it's got a very interesting emblem on it there. It's got like what could be looked at as sort of a sun, and with all the sort of the rays of the sun shown, but also this smaller entity that's somewhere in front of the sun and encased by the sun, but yet it's free at the same time. And I'm thinking, wow, this is almost exactly the drawing of the electron and neutron that Mr. Keshe was drawing the other day, and showing the release of the electron from the neutron to form the proton and electron. And that also ties in with the spaceship propulsion mechanism as well. If you look at this seal, it's very much like a closed container with the sun in the middle, not an open sun. So this is very interesting, I think, in light of everything that's going on. So anyway, I just happened to notice that on this, what appears to me to be a beautiful peace treaty, in the way it's laid out, and it's signed very nicely and sealed. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
And Rick, what I would encourage people is they go online and read wampum law. That it is basically the law which honors the women and the grandmothers, and the tradition in that law was, yes, they had a fire council, and yes, they had the decision making, but the final decision, anytime there was a discussion of going, breaking peace and going to war with something, fell upon the women, because they were going to be the ones in the families where the husbands and the fathers and the sons were lost. And so that final decision rested with the women. And Russell Means was an activist from the Lakota Sioux. And he always used to say, we need to get back to the foundation of law. Instead of the patriarch, it was always the matriarchal type of law. And he's no longer alive, but he was quite a voice for all of that. So the wampum law upholds that tradition of what I would say the grandmothers in the background. So what synchronicity that this is a peace treaty that came in. I have to appreciate that. Thank you very much.
We specialize in just-in-time delivery here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think, my lady, I think you will bring him a huge honor if you can pass him this letter in his prison. I think his prison will shine like a light.
I definitely will pass it to his wife, and I know of the parties that have signed this, so I would think that my mail would not go through if I put this in there, but I can write about it and tell him, and I can write circumspectly also. So I will do that.
Maybe you'll be able to handle it over to him.
That wouldn't that be wonderful? Yes, we'll put that with our intentions and our imaginings. So thank you all very much, and thank you, Rick, for bringing that up.
Well, thanks to Vince for providing it, and whoever provided it to him. That's very good connection there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have you noticed today we are expressing a lot of thank yous, which is a very positive energy to one another, always in gratitude. I think this is marvelous. And these thank yous are growing every day, more and more. With a smile of peace in the heart, in the emotion, in the thinking, that we have jumped another hurdle of understanding. Another veil has been lifted from not knowing. We are becoming really knowledgeable creatures. They better watch out for us. I think we have to say another word of gratitude to these people which have signed this peace letter, that we are full of gratitude that they have listened to our call for world peace, and they are the first ones that we are presenting in public. Confirmation of signing of the World Peace Treaty. I am present.
I can't think of anything more appropriate. Really, I cannot think of any other group that would be more appropriate than the natives of America. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm present.
I am present.
I am present.
I am present, Flint from the United States of America.
I am present, Spender from Hungary, Europe.
I am present, Vince from Canada.
I am present, Bernie from Canada.
I am present, Ekmar from Germany.
I am present from Argentina.
I am present from Brazil, Boris.
I am present, Pia from Denmark.
I am present, Paul from Togo.
I am present, from Belgium.
I am present, Nicholas from New Mexico.
I am present, Caroline from Austria.
I am present, Alberto from the United States.
I am present, Klaus from Austria.
And again, many have declared themselves to be present in the live stream chat and the Zoom chat and the Facebook chat and all chats everywhere, I think.
I am so honored, Rick. And I'm so joyful to see this letter appearing. And then the story of unfolding through this lady and through the man. It brings a very strange twist in the explanation and the connection and the synchronization of all these events of today. You just go, oof, my God. This is absolutely beyond beautiful. This is absolutely amazing, beautiful. Thank you, beautiful souls, which have become a part of our peace path, paving the road for so many to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Rick, could you put the World Peace Treaty document on the chat so we could copy it? Is that appropriate?
Yes, you can. You can find it all over the Facebook, on our website, on the links. It's easy.
I was meaning the one from the Cherokee Nation.
Yeah, I can't put that in because it's a PDF format that I can't put into the chat, I believe.
Where are you available? Are you available in the Facebook? Because
yes.
it has already gone out in public, so you can pick
Excellent.
it up.
I got it, Caroline. Thank you.
It should be on. Is it on the main website, the Keshe Foundation website at this point, or?
Not yet. I sent it already.
Okay.
I've sent it
over on the medical chat where we are able to post documents.
You can go out wherever you can show. I have been posting wherever I have access to at this moment, and I have asked support in the background to start posting it out. I posted it in WhatsApp. Wherever I have access to it at the moment, it's going out. Even Mr. Keshe has been informed as we speak. He was one of the first ones. Rick, how long are we still having?
Oops. About another 10 minutes or so.
Okay. We have been able to create a new Zoom chat number for whoever from the Council, Universal Council, support members, Earth Council, or core team want to be present. Moshfaq has the Zoom number, and I will invite the 6 people which were present in the court in Belgium to come and work on the letter as we agreed. So I will give them the number as soon as I am receiving it from Moshfaq. As soon as this meeting is finished, I will post the number in all the chat rooms because I cannot impossible send it by email anymore. When we have finished the letter working for this topic, we will close that chat room and then we will go to our secure Zoom number to finish the letter of gratitude for Mother Earth. Whoever wants and can be present in there, you're more than welcome. I know it's gonna maybe a little bit hectic to get in because it's all on a new platform for everybody. So please ignore the email that the meeting is not going through. It will be later than what we agreed because we're first gonna take up the wish of Belgian people, the Dutch language people, to be able to compose something that needs to get off their chest and their liver. What I would like to present here for all of you, please, can we have your support for tonight that this letter will be in the benefit of the intent for it to be correct. No more, no less, no judgment, no harming, no nothing. Just for it to be correct as we wished before, that every single soul, when we are creating something to go for correctness, that we are present as correct as we can. Thank you very much for tonight. And maybe, Rick, we can open another topic of a tent of our wish. Anybody has any idea where our wish needs to go? Very urgent, because it's so needed so that we can spend our last minutes in this meeting. We can work as a joint force to create this path. Does anybody have a wish, please?
Carolina, may I give you a suggestion, please?
Yes.
When you are sending a letter to the court, I have a lot of experience with this. Letters, for the most part, your letter will be, it will have a lot of intention and a lot of power behind it. But the experience we've had with courts is letters are largely ignored. And when we go into the court with an affidavit, and an affidavit is a statement that you're of the age of majority, you're of sound mind, and you have firsthand knowledge of the facts. And then the end of the affidavit states that everything that has been presented is true to the best of your knowledge and ability. Now, the reason for doing that, and then that is witnessed. The reason for doing that is when you go into court, your names are listed in block letters. And when names are listed in all capital letters, they represent a dead entity. And so the courts never recognize that there's a living man or woman in front of them. They're only talking to the dead entity with the all capitals name that you see on gravestones. And this is a tradition that once again goes all the way back up to the Vatican, where in 1666, I believe, they created the CEST Act and declared everybody dead entities. So it's very important that the documents that go in, it kind of it creates a dilemma in the court, because those documents can only be expressed and signed by living entities, and they will only process dead entities. So there's a whole protocol that goes with it. But I can say that I have seen them used in my own case quite successfully. If you would take the expression, they kind of paint the others into a corner. And when you do that, the Navajos had a way of weaving rugs that had a spirit line that always left a way out for any bad spirits to leave the rug. And in the same way, if somebody's painted in the corner, you always want to leave a little line open for them to get out. But when you're discussing this, I hope you will be mindful of that, because it's very important in the court structure that I know of in this country. And since that structure all answers back to the Vatican, I would think that it would be present in Belgium also.
Thank you for your information, and we will take it into account for sure. But this letter will be not only constructed as a letter, but there is a huge threefold wish attached to it. So I don't think it's going to miss its target with this kind of amount of intent.
That's a good way to put it.
We know we create. We know we are creators. And there will be so many souls that already have opened the doors of this creation. And you will see for yourself, with your wish, which you brought forward yourself, how we can create as a foundation family. All the souls under one roof, but each as an individual, to confirm its own creation. This is the beauty of it.
And not under the House of Rome necessarily.
We have so many buildings which want to carry the graciousness of giving, and there is only one habitant present in it, which is amazing, and nobody understands how is this possible. I'll keep my breath for Mr. Keshe's wish, as he has repeated this wish for long ago, and so many times. He says, all the marble which is and has constructed the Vatican will go back to its place of its origin, where it was meant to be, in honor of whoever was there before. I'm holding my breath for that one. And I hope it will be a peaceful transition of moving all these building blocks back to where they belong, because they will move. Because where they are constructed now, they are serving no purpose, because for the intent and the pretending of what they're serving for, how can it justify that people are sleeping in the streets in the rain and the storm and the heat and the cold, and have to beg to have a bread on their plate? They're living in carton boxes, and they're fighting to keep that little spot, that at least they pick up a good few euros or dollars or Canadians. And you know what is the biggest shame of all? Something I don't understand. And I don't want to insult nobody, but how can you walk as a human being, passing these people, and pretend you're a Christian, when you've been taught the 10 Commands, which nothing includes of their behavior, walking into that big building, pretending there's something they're not? I cannot. I walked in that building for curiosity, to see how on earth this was possible. I went sick in it. I had to walk out of it. I can't even stand in front of that building anymore because I just go sick. And I was brought up as a Catholic. But I was a nightmare in the church. I was a nightmare wherever I had to sit still and listen to mumble bumble, because it didn't even reach me. It had nothing to do with me. I tried to respect for what it was taught to me, but I could not find a single resemblance in anywhere because the building is too big. It doesn't give nobody nothing, unless that you can wet your fingers and make a cross to something I don't understand even as a child. I always try to pay my respect for everyone, and I don't harm and I don't hurt and I don't want to demean nobody. But please, I don't understand, as humanity doesn't understand itself anymore. I think it's time we wake each other up to come to understand that now we are in the path of change. And if you're a walking, peaceful human being, and you're in full honesty with it yourself, and I mean honest, in the message you want to get across, that other soul will pay attention to you. He will start listening. He will hear your whispering, maybe not straight away, but give it time to mature because you reach just his soul or her soul. That is the only confidence you have in yourself, that you can reach the soul through your soul. And that's giving. And then they will come back on your path. Be ready, because you will have a lot of souls appearing in front of you. Be very generous. Be very kind. And especially always remember your face in your mirror. Give them a huge, big smile. That your cup of life can flow into their life. That they can taste your joy and your pleasure and your celebration for life. It will change. It is already changing. Just look what happened today. We walked from one connection to another to end up with such a beautiful confirmation from a man which even can't communicate with us. And Jalal, you're correct. I know this man, but I can't remember from where. He must have been floating on Facebook or working somewhere, because this is not a strange face. When you said it, I had to swallow because I had the same recognition. We worked with him, or we spoke with him, or we have communicated before.
There was a communication last year, I think it was, from the Cherokee Nation to me and in Facebook, I believe. And so we had I think we had a few back and forth communications. I'm not sure if it was with him or one of these two or who it was exactly. I don't remember the exact name, but there was a communication at that point. Yes.
Yeah, it rings a bell, this gentleman. I just can't place it, because I'm very good in remembering faces, but I don't know always where they came from or to place them. But I have to confirm with Jalal, we know this face. So most probably we will be able to say hello again and welcome him back as a knowledge seeker very soon. I'm gonna allow you to go to rest. My team's working, that you can grasp some rest for the next tomorrow. Thank you for the doctors to be present. Unfortunately, we couldn't get or manage to get Dr. Rodriguez online. We will find out what's going on. Maybe he simply doesn't have sufficient enough network. I honor all of you. And at the same time, I all love you. And we will restart tomorrow morning. Please support us in our tasks tonight, that we can draft 2 important letters. Thank you so much.
Caroline, one last question. Peggy asks, is there an open meeting being held on Zoom? And if so, where can we get the dates and times and code for that?
Where are you available to be reached, please? Because I will not publish this number because I just came aware this is a public teaching and I don't want no comment to give us a hard time tonight. So
Okay.
we will post it where we can trust the people which can pick it up. So if you know somebody, if you know me in Messenger and I'm familiar with your name, then I will give you access to the number as long as we know who's coming in. I think that's more than fair enough not to have no disturbance tonight from a corner which we do not even expect. Because I would have loved to put it out in trust, but as we are worldwide public, I think it's not safe for the person who took the responsibility to create this. So we will provide you with a number as long as we know who you are and that we know who's coming in to participate. You're more than welcome. Thank you very much.
Peggy left her email address with us, so maybe we can make use of that. Okay, thank you very much, Caroline. And thanks to everybody once again for participating in this. And thanks especially to the Cherokee Nation for having the honor for us and them of signing this World Peace Treaty. It's really moving and it's so encouraging to see this. All right, thanks everybody, and stay tuned for the Knowledge Seekers Workshop tomorrow. That's Thursday, starting at 9 a.m. Central European Time. And we'll continue with more information and knowledge on the plasma teachings. Okay, I think that's it. We'll end the live stream now.
Good night and thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. And Caroline, thank you very much.
You're all very welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.